The ANC Youth League accusing National Treasury of being anti-South African. The League's president, Collen Malatjie, says Treasury is contradicting the ANC by failing to fund projects that are aimed at creating employment opportunities for young people. Malatjie joining me in studio now to elaborate on his statement. Mr. Malatjie, thank you very much for your time. When you say National Treasury is working against the ANC-led government, what do you mean exactly?
Look, what we mean as the Youth League is that, one, you can't be cutting budgets on important areas of interventions. The ANC program of making access to all young students, NEFSA's program is one of them. As part of our program, we've made a call as the Youth League that we want free compulsory education for all. And the NEFSA's program is an intervention when we are trying to work towards that program. Now, when you make those cuts there, you are immediately affecting the poor of the poorest. And we can say that we were faced with a kind of high level of unemployment and unskilled youth. We still go to a program of cutting budgets in areas of intervention.
The minister in charge of Treasury is a long-standing member of the ANC. The Youth League participates in discussions of this nature at a policy level. Have you had engagements with the minister in charge of National Treasury to raise these concerns with him?
Yes, we had engagement with the minister. The biggest problem of Treasury is the administrative problem, mainly in most cases, because any minister we send there, it's either it gets transformed by the system. We don't tend to be doing much in transforming that system because they're not part of the transformative agenda that we're part of. Another thing that we've done, we've depoliticized Treasury. How do you depoliticize a department that has got a responsibility to drive the transformative agenda of South Africa? Because we can't continue with the apartheid program of depoliticizing Treasury and Reserve Bank when we are saying that we want to run a program of transformation. Because one is that Treasury has never been biased to the poor of the poorest and those who are affected by the injustice of the past. Now, that vehicle is a very important vehicle that must be highly politicized to a program to resolve all of the socio-economic problems we're faced with.
It would seem here that administration after administration, you'll remember very well the era of the Zuma administration, National Treasury was a target of some ANC leaders who were saying much the same of what you are saying. The man who leads it now, interestingly, used to be the head of economic transformation in the ANC. So how would he allow for such to happen? Or is this your way of wanting to bulldoze National Treasury into funding projects ahead of an election in order to be seen to be doing something?
Look, the ANC is in government. We don't fund projects ahead of elections. It's our core responsibility to fund programs that has to do with changing the lives of our people. And the stats are very clear that the majority of young people are unemployed, are displaced. And if there's intervention programs with the LAB programs and NEFSA's programs, or programs that inject for intensive employment of the youth in sectors. The only sector that seems to be funded a bit higher is the motor sector. But most of these sectors are not highly funded. We've got a clear industrialization program that we've resolved on. We feel that there must be injection of resources in that direction because those are, if we reindustrialize, those are areas that can assist to create employment and economic activities for the youth. Now, it's not a target. We're saying a treasury is an important tool to resolve all of these problems. The energies must be directed to the right direction. We can't have a treasury that all they do is be scared of, they're scared to take radical decisions to change the lives of our people because they're scared there's certain called investors who in most cases we've been identified, some of them, of manipulating the rent. They're scared that they'll be able to shift or investment from South Africa. But they lose interest because you must always, every country must put the country's interest first, And I think Treasury must start doing that.
Can I make an observation, Mr. Malatjie? Your energies as leader of the Youth League, are they misdirected? And I'm saying this because there is a lot of money that is being driven toward projects. Now, these, I would want to think infrastructure is one of those. a lot of money is being put to use, whether it's for infrastructure development or indeed educational programs. Where you don't seem to be focusing your attention is on wastage, whether it be corruption or mismanagement of funds. When is the Youth League going to talk about that?
You know, I wish you came to our press briefing yesterday. On top of our agenda, from the day I closed the conference of the Youth League, we put corruption on top of it. We were one of the first to call out NEFSAS when they were seen wanting on the issue of corruption. We called upon the Minister of Higher Education that he must urgently fire the CEO of NEFSAS, because it can't be true that there are ghost students who are getting money illegally. They are what we call accommodation mafias who are overpricing for accommodation at the expense of our students, and there's no action around it. Now, it is not true that our energies are not there. We are very vocal on the issue of corruption. On day-to-day basis, we raised, even yesterday in our press briefing, we spoke against corruption. We said there must be action, because when you steal from those who don't have already, because the government represents mainly those who don't have already. Now, when you steal from those who don't have already, that is a serious crime. You know, and we're worried about the media on the issue of those who manipulated the rent. You are speaking less on it. There's only one line on it. I can imagine if there was a minister that stole billions from government, I'm sure by now that minister will be fired because of the pressure from the media. But because it's the big banks, you're quiet on those issues. You're not saying anything. The only time I saw anything about the manipulation of the rent, even those that have admitted guilt, you're not saying anything about them, which is a serious criminal offense. In a country that acts, which have got a media that is pro-South Africans, you're supposed to be very strong on that matter and making sure that they are held accountable and those that were involved are arrested.
Let me assure you that in all probability, you don't watch this channel.
I do.
If you do, you will know the many conversations that have been had. But time is precious. I'm about to leave this show because the next one is coming soon. I would be more worried, if I were yourself, about the state of my party, or the party that you belong in. There's a credibility crisis in that party. There are all kinds of crises playing out within the ANC. You've been commenting recently about the veterans who are leaving the party. Instead of worrying about why it is that they're leaving, you're suggesting that the Secretary General needs to be protected. Protected from what?
Look, the President and the SG of the ANC needs to be protected, because those are leaders of the organization. And the veterans who respect them, have always respected them, they've always led us. They must give space to the new leadership to lead and provide guidance. There's an organization formed for them called the Veterans League. They play that role. Those comrades sit in the NEC of the ANC to provide guidance. And that's why I was saying that if people are unhappy with the ANC is a voluntary organization. You know, you don't have to throw a party when you are leaving. You can easily leave and say, I no longer believe in the values of the organization.
Which is what Mavuso Msimang did.
No, I'm saying people are throwing a party. When they leave in the call press briefings in the media, going all over, we don't know what they're doing. But when you leave an organization that you love, you take a sit back. They're not the first ones to do that, and advice from behind. I feel these are the issues that must be resolved. You can't be perfect. Even during their time, they had their own challenges of leadership. No one has neglected them. They were supported. They made their mistakes. They made great decisions, they made bad decisions. That's what leadership comes with. Now, I'm saying that it can't be that every time there is a president of the ANC, maybe he doesn't take certain advice on certain issues, then the veterans organize themselves against the ANC. That is a wrong culture, and that must be corrected moving forward.
Do you believe that the Secretary General of the ANC, the current Secretary General of the ANC, is a man of substance? He has the credibility to run that office much like the ones that came before him?
Look, there's a track record. Apart from him being the former SG and the former president of the Youth League, it's only him and Nelson Mandela have ever occupied those two positions like that. He delivered two important conferences that have not been delivered in a long time. Delivered the conference of the ANC Youth League in less than 3 months in office. Delivered the conference of the Women's League in less than 3 months in office. Delivered the conference of the Veterans League in less than 3 months in office. He was moving around the whole country, doing manifesto reviews everywhere, engaging communities on their input on the manifesto of the ANC. Now, what do you need from a Secretary General? Do you need a poet who will sit in the office and speak poetry, or you need someone to be on the ground? He's doing what he's elected to do. He's on the ground, mobilizing people behind the pen of the ANC. And I think he's the right person for the office at this moment.
Collen Malatjie, thank you very much for your time, leader of the ANC Youth League. I'm going to ask you to remain where you are while I close this show